soundtrack to your furry life. I'm Lifty, and joining me on the podcast is Silox.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
And IBM is off today. He will be joining us again next week.
Yes, he will.
Um,
Good for
yes, he
him.
will. Yes. Today we're going to be talking about art, controversial artists that are about to be canceled by the furry community because they draw some very, very controversial art. And we're going to be discussing whether the art that they draw actually imitates reality or does it just depict fantasy. And we're also going to be talking about gaslighting and how these artists try to gaslight you into liking and accepting very taboo topics in art. And of course, um, making you accept these taboo things that they draw. But first, we want to also, before we go any further, we want to mention that our Discord line is open. If you want to call into our show, we would love to have you on. Please make sure that you join our Discord. The link is available on our Twitter account at Furry Frequency. Please follow us. And then once you're in there, please make sure that you read the important README. Make sure that you go over every little detail. Make sure you understand it, because last week, we had some people that were kind of, they didn't know what was going on. But let's go over the important README and figure out what's going on. So please make sure that you read the important README, then go into the waiting room. We would
hmm
love to have you on the show, and we have moderators standing by to pull people and get them on the line so that they can call into our show and voice their opinion. But before we do that, we would like to mention our sponsor for tonight's episode.
Hey,
So,
yes, our sponsor. I have to find it.
actually, you know what? I got a sponsor right here.
Oh, there you go.
Uh, Tonight's sponsor of Furry Frequencies is Perrier, the bubbly, refreshing, most unique way to quench your thirst all day and all night. Perrier, the official water of Furry Frequencies.
Yes, Perrier. Perrier?
Yeah,
Perrier? Something like
Perrier.
that. You all should
Perrier
drink it.
is French.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
French
I,
for
I drink it.
one.
I drink it all the time. I have like 6 bottles behind me, chilling.
That's a problem. That's a problem.
No, it isn't. If you go to the Giant,
Uh
if
huh.
you go to the Giant and the receipt keeps on spitting at you coupons that say 55 cents off 2 bottles of Perrier. Okay, so you buy two, then you get a coupon for 75 cents off 3 bottles of Perrier.
Oh, big
It's okay.
spender.
So you take that coupon, you buy three more, and then you get $1 off four. It's an addiction. But Giant enables it.
I
Giant
don't
is an
think that's
enabler.
that's not how it works.
Yes, it is.
It really isn't.
Because I could stop at any time if
Yeah, you should.
they would stop giving me coupons and stop saving me money. I could stop at any time.
Sounds like a you problem.
I don't care. I got 10 bottles of Perrier now that I have no idea what to do with. Except I gotta drink them. So yeah, hey, there we go. Perrier, the official sponsor, the official water of Furry Frequencies.
Okay, if you, but folks, seriously, don't buy Perrier. Please don't. It's
What?
addictive. It's addictive. It's addictive.
It's water. It's good. Okay, go ahead, drink it. So anyway, moving into our first topic, we want to move into our first controversial artist, and that, of course, is Seth Pup.
Oh boy.
So, Seth Pup recently caught everyone's attention because someone on the internet found some sketches that he did, and some of these sketches are very, very graphic. They show his character anally raping a dog. Like there are two sketches in particular that show him anally raping a dog, and it it does not look like. Oh my god, this is pretty
Yeah.
fucking gross. It doesn't look like the character has any concern for the welfare of the dog, the well-being of the dog, the safety of the dog. any concern for the dog at all. One of them, see, I'm just going to tell you what one of these shows, and one of them shows two characters, two anthro characters, and a dog. One of them is Sethpup. He has his pants down, and he's about to rape this dog that the other character owns. The other character just kind of watches and recoils in disgust when Sethpup just goes at it, and it this is the most sadistic shit I have ever seen. I don't know if you've seen it, but ladies and gentlemen, this is sick. This is just absolutely sick. Um, and not only that, but Seth Pup also has an alternate account named Sasha Bell, where he draws very, very young characters having sex with older anthro characters. Now, all of these characters are anthro,
Hmm.
but it's like you're thinking about you're some of these pictures show Sasha Bell drawing this like little 7-year-old or so character having or blowing this dude, and I'm like, people fap to this? I'm like, good God.
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
they do.
well, if people didn't fap to it, he'd have no reason to. If people didn't fap to it, he'd have no reason to draw it. I'm just gonna say it right now.
Well,
If people didn't fap to this shit,
I
he
don't know
wouldn't have any reason to draw it.
because
Okay, what do you think?
some people again like to draw what they're into and what they fantasize and what they like. Like I like to, for instance, I like to write about macro because I'm into that. It's awesome and it's a great fantasy. The whole power dynamic. It's what a lot of people and myself are into about that. If I had no interest in it, even if nobody consumed my stories, I wouldn't write about it because what's the point? It's why I don't get vor related art because I have no interest in it. And I know, even though the people I know who watch me do, I have no interest in it. With him, even though if it were that situation where nobody would enjoy his art like that, he would still do it because he enjoys that. That's his fantasy. And his
Yeah,
fantasy is disgusting and should not be tolerated.
yeah,
And I think it's gotten to the point where some people like to claim, well, he's just venting his frustrations, or it's not that he'll act on said fantasy in real life. He'll quote unquote act on it in his art, but I think that presents a slippery slope. See,
mm,
I'm never going to act on my macro fantasies. Why? Well, because I'm short. I'm 5'5", and I can't be, I can't be 1,000 feet tall and shut my dick into a mountain range. I can't do that. So there's no chance that's going to happen. Someone like that, though, he can't. And there's a good chance that Seth Pup probably has. And that's concerning. And we have these people in the furry community that, for a good, for whatever reason, we allow to stay in there. Now it's getting better. More people are more vocal and aware of that this isn't a kink. This isn't something that should be tolerated. But we still have some who like to make excuses and say, oh, well, it's just fantasy. It's hurting nobody. When the content of what he's drawing is really saying to me, hey, this person might be interested in actually doing that to a real life animal if the circumstances were to line up in his favor, which is totally
mhm,
not right, and no one should defend that.
yeah. And that's why we're talking about it today, because I've seen the controversy with Cesspup go both ways. Some people are going to look at. See, I've actually seen people comment on Sasha Bell's art, of course, that's Seth Pup, and say, "Oh no, this is not fair. That he's being vilified because they think he's going to be a pedophile because he draws this stuff. It's fantasy. It's not supposed to mimic reality." And then I see people actually saying the same thing, except they're saying that this actually does mimic reality in some way. There's some sense of realism. It's attached to some part of his psyche
Hmm.
that he would act upon if given the chance. So the furry community needs to actually make up its mind and wonder, how is this how how do you just look at this and say this is just fantasy? Even in a fantasy situation, this is gross. Like there is no way that this is defensible. This is he these pictures that I'm seeing, he definitely looks he has this very sadistic look on his face. Like he's only concern is about getting off. His only concern is his gratification. Like you see him, he's got this face where his tongue is out, his dripping it's dripping saliva. He's got these evil eyes, and I mean, it's terrible. It's just absolutely terrible. And there's there's a line here that says, "You can crank up some music to drown it out, or grab me some duct tape." I prefer the duct tape personally. How do you just come up with that? How do you just come up with that? How does that how is that fantasy? Like even in a fantasy situation, this is gross, this is sick, this is disgusting. Ugh. And of course, Seth Pup, see, this is the crazier thing, is that Seth Pup obviously knows that people are trying to cancel him on Twitter about this shit. And he doesn't care. He absolutely doesn't care. He changed his profile to say on Twitter to say a gross dumb dog.
Oh, he's not
So
wrong.
he's doing the same thing. He's doing the same thing that Nas. Remember Nasfik
Nas
or
FK. Yeah.
Nasfik? Yeah, he basically is just taking the cancel in stride. He's taking the
Yeah.
cancel culture in stride. He's wearing it like a badge of honor to be canceled.
Yeah, he is. And,
Oh, disgusting fetish.
openly taunting people, and it's not a fetish, by the way. Openly taunting people like that because they think that, what can you do? I'm on the internet. You don't know who I am personally. So you can't get me in trouble. And in some respects, yes, but there are people who have no life whatsoever and they sit on the internet and they dox other people. So I'm not saying he's going to be doxxed, or am I saying he should be, but, you know, I wouldn't openly taunt people on the internet because that shit will come back to bite you. So I think
Yeah.
we need to, and again, no, none of us are saying, and I want to make this clear. None of us are saying, "Oh, we both want a clean, pure, safe for work furry fandom." No, far from the truth. If you all knew the amount of porn that we consume, like this guy, he likes. I don't know. What do you like? Just say something. Throw something out.
Me?
Yeah,
Me?
you said bees.
Well, I like bees. Yeah, I like bees, but I
What?
don't like them sexually.
Okay, throw something that's porn related out. You like leather? Okay, he likes leather. I like
I like
macro.
leather. I like
All right,
leather.
we
Yeah,
like
leather
that.
is
We're
yeah.
degenerates. We're not that degenerate to where we think that that's okay though with animals. All
This is
right,
great.
all right.
We're degenerate, but not that
Yes,
degenerate.
we have a line. All right, my line is stepping on cities, and well, if we do pause count, well, that's different. Everybody likes pause. Look, my line
Everybody.
my line is stepping on cities and being a degenerate like that. His is wearing leather jackets or whatever else he's into. I really don't know.
I mean, I like spankings.
Spe- oh my God, Jesus Christ. Anyway,
Hey, yeah, this is live, and we're learning about our
well,
fetishes.
you know mine, but yeah, I didn't know
I know.
about the spanking
I
parts
know.
with you. But anyway, those are fetishes. You wanting to do that with animals, that's not a fetish. That is a crime. That is disgusting, and you should be held accountable for your
Well,
actions.
well, see, the art itself is not a crime because the art is just art. But we have to come together as a furry community and we have to determine, does this actually have a link to his real or to his reality? Does it have a link to something in his mind that he would act upon? Like, is this a warning sign that he would do nasty shit to a dog if he was given a dog in an empty room and privacy? Would he do this nasty shit to a dog?
I
Like,
think he would.
is it a warning sign?
I think there are a lot of warning signs out there. Um,
And
this might
and
be a big one, though.
yeah, and not only that, you know, what do we take about his pedophilia art? Because that's just as disgusting.
Yeah.
I mean, but like I said, if nobody fapped to it, he'd almost have no reason to draw it. Um,
Well, again, I just disagree with that. As I said before, a lot of people will draw or write out what they're into. Like in my case, like I told people, if it's something that I'm not into, I would
okay.
never write about it.
Mm,
Well,
yeah,
vor is different because it happens to go along with macro micro, so I kind of have to write about it. But like you would never see me write about and this is no offense to them, baby furs. Not because I hate them. It's just because I'm not into it.
you're
Even
not
if
into shitting yourself. I know. We
so,
know.
yeah. But like I said, even if nobody would pay him money to do that or consume it, he would still do it.
Yeah. Well, there's also another problem with his attitude about it, where he's kind of taking the cancellation in stride and not really caring. So he's putting itself out there, but he is only caring about himself. He's not caring about the long term ramifications of his behavior and what he's putting out on the internet towards the furry community. He doesn't care about what the long term ramifications of the furry community is. And that's a problem because, as you may ask any normie, they get a lot of furries get a lot of strange looks because people think that we're already zoophiles, that they think that we wear fursuits because we want to fondle little kids. That's not true.
Yeah.
But when they see art like this, when they see porn like this, they cement that image into their head and associate it with the furry community. And that's how our negative stereotypes of the furry community stay.
Yeah, they
They
do.
stick with us. There's no shaking that because, again, nobody actually, the people that are supposed to do something about it obviously don't care. Otherwise, they would have done something already. And the people that are caring can't really do much of anything besides not give him a platform. And that's where I was saying last week, where I'm not really for doxing. I'm for actually stripping people of their platform when they post stuff that is disturbing or wrong or racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic, etc., etc., etc. We don't need to give them a platform to continue to espouse these views and put them out in the
Hmm.
public. And if they care about their platform, they will change their platform. They will change themselves
Well,
if they care about their platform.
well, you know what we
If
should start doing though?
what's that?
We should start dunking people in melted butter and serving them on bread. That'll change their That'll change their opinions.
That
So,
sounds like something a macro would say.
you know what? That's why I'm saying you get a fake Godzilla, right? You dunk the person in like garlic butter, a tub of garlic butter. You put them on a sandwich roll, and you roll that up to the fake Godzilla. And you're like, you get one more chance. You ask them, "Are you going to stop? Are you going to stop?" And if they say no, you shove the sandwich into the Godzilla's mouth. And I think that would be a great. That's a great way to get people to change their mind.
Oh my goodness.
You know.
You macros and your ideas.
Well, I'm not into vor, but I think that is a great way
Yet
to.
you're not in the war yet.
There is no yet. So
Okay.
why don't we pause real quick? Does anybody want to? Think we could take some calls actually right now?
Yeah,
Yes,
if
or
well, right now we have no callers,
oh,
but
we don't.
if you would like to call in and, of course, voice your opinion, feel free to do so. Let our moderators know that you'd like to join the conversation and sound off on what you think about Seth Pup. Um, our moderators are standing by and waiting for you. And of course, we are standing by and waiting for you. So, again, if you'd like to join us, please join our Discord that is on our Twitter feed at Furry Frequency. If you're not following us on Twitter, please do, because that's when you get notifications about our next episodes, our Twit, our Discord, and about our uploads on YouTube. So yes, please join our Discord if you want to sound off.
Hmm.
Let me see. Moving on, let's go to another controversial artist. And this time, this is one that we talked about before, and that's, of course, SpottyJaguar and Molten Gold. We have mentioned these two before. They're a furry artist couple, and we mentioned them before because they they adopted somebody from, I think, Canada to be their adopted child, and this dude is like 23, 25, something over the age of 21. And it's kind of bizarre how their dynamic works, because they both this person that they adopted in is both their child and their lover. So it's it's just bizarre. It's just bizarre. And so we talked about that for quite a bit. I don't even know if what they did was actually legit. Like they filed all the paperwork for it and blah blah blah, and they're legally like family now, a
Probably.
very big incestuous family. But but I'm I, I'm just like, yeah, I don't get it. But of course, Spotty Jaguar and Molten Gold, they bring in their own controversy because, first of all, they put out a post a while ago saying that they're no longer going to tag their art, and
Hmm.
this is a problem for many reasons. The biggest, which is they tend to draw a lot of incest porn, um, and some people get very weird when they see porn like that, when they see incest porn or they see, daddy daughter porn. It 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 weirds them out. And so when they go to Fur Affinity, they don't want to just, if they have that blocked, if they have the tags for that blocked, the first thing that they don't want to see on Fur Affinity is that exact thing that
Yeah.
they just blocked. So they're just kind of pushing it in the face of everybody, no matter if you like it or not. Which, how is that being respectful to anybody?
No, it's not. And it's really not.
No.
Um,
And and if it wasn't, if this wasn't a if this wasn't a warning sign beforehand, of course, Spotty Jaguar has a locked account on Twitter.
hmm.
And of course, there are moles within Spotty Jaguar's account that take screenshots of whatever Spotty decides to tweet out. And some of it is quite disturbing. Um, so they tweeted out that cub art is just age play. And they're saying that it's more like it's fun to be a kid. This is the life I never got to experience. I want to be the tiny spoon. Um, and they're saying that those are significantly more common motivations for cub art or age play, whatever, than the cruel and creepy shit that Twitter comes up with. Um, and they're saying that wanting to see your adult character with a cub is just more play. Motivations include it feels good to nurture. I like cute partners, the incredibly mundane corruption of innocence trope, and I want to be the parent or big friend or older sibling I never had. It's healthy. Let's stop there. How is this healthy?
It's not. I
Like,
don't think they understand what the word healthy means. That's not
yeah,
healthy.
yeah. This is if an adult was going up to a child and having these thoughts of a real life child, I'd be calling child protective services to keep that adult away from that child because this is not healthy. This is creepy shit. This is
Yes.
creepy shit that they're trying to peddle around, and I and I just don't understand the motivation. And they're saying if you don't like it, they say, quote unquote, have you actually looked at any? Like, have you looked? It is cute and also deep as hell.
Bruh.
Okay, so
It's deep. Come on, man.
come
You,
on, Spotty. This is
you.
not
That's not
Philosophy
deep about
101.
that.
Philosophy 101 does not involve looking at whatever it is that you do on uh, does not involve your art, looking at your art, looking at your characters, looking at some 5-year-old being spooned by this big older dude.
Ew.
Well, and then they respond to, I'm an artist and I love sex. If I can't combine those, if I can't draw what actually gets me off, then what the fuck is the point of any of this?
I can't believe they actually had the audacity to
Wow.
put that.
They have the audacity to put that behind a locked Twitter account. That's why. Twitter support should look at this and say, hey, this is kind of troubling. And,
Yeah, it is.
of course, everybody that tweets at Spotty's account, everybody who's in Spotty's account, of course, won't look at this with any problem at all. They'll just say that it's not emphasizing reality; it's actually fantasy. They don't have a problem with this because they think that this is just fantasy. But they also go on to say that the art that they do, the age play art, the cub art that they do is art therapy. Now, I don't know if anybody has. I'm not going to try to guess or be a psychologist here, but
Mm.
I really want to meet a psychologist that would look at all of this, all of this art, and say it's it's therapeutic. Um, Molten Gold fired off as well. Uh, Apparently, some folks think my incest fiction is an alarming escalation because nearly 2 years ago I said that incest wasn't something that would be a huge part of my content. Yeah, dipshit, that's what happens when you're afraid or ashamed. You aren't honest. So, oh boy, where do we begin with this?
You know what? These people, in my opinion, these people need a lot of help. Um, because having thoughts like this are not simple um, thoughts. They're not kinks, and we need to look at this and realize that these are not kinks. Wanting to do that to a child is not kinkish behavior. That's disgusting. That's inappropriate. That's robbing a child of its youth and its innocence. And I know I get that it runs into the gray area of thought crimes, and I understand that. And I
Yeah,
also get that drawing that art is not necessarily illegal in any U.S. state or jurisdiction. However, from a public opinion and moral standpoint, I view all of that as just being totally wrong. I don't see the appeal behind it. And I question how anyone could find that stuff sexual. It's just not. it just ain't it. That ain't it. Like it
Yeah.
just ain't it, Chief. So like, why? How can you sit there with a straight face and rationalize that into thinking that this is
Mhm.
some kind of therapy for you? Now,
Yeah.
I do understand some people who have been um, abused in the past or molested as children. They may draw this kind of. They may do this. I've heard of stories that's from people who have been abused that they end up drawing stuff like this as a coping mechanism. Well,
Yeah.
if you're going to do that, why share it and put yourself out there in being labeled a pedophile in a community that has way too many of them as is, and people are looking to call the next person out?
And you see, that's they go about and say that that is why they don't tag their art anymore, because people that I I quote, people who don't like incest search through tags to be mean to me, a grown-ass woman in a multi-level marriage who can leave the internet at any time, so I'll just expose them unknowingly to incest and h play by not properly tagging it anymore. They can only block me after they come to my gallery and eyeball my disgusting porn first. I'll warn them in my bio, but odds are they aren't going to look at that on FA or other sites until after they've already seen my art. That'll teach them. So, Molten, Spotty, this is why people have a problem with you. Because instead of actually keeping, if this was actual therapy, you wouldn't be charging people to do it. You wouldn't be actually engaging with other people and indulging in their fantasies as well as yours. When both your characters and you and your consumer base all like the same depraved stuff, they're of course going to indulge in you, and you indulge in them, and you take commissions from them. So this isn't about therapy. This is about you making money off your perversions. Let's call it what it is. Okay? And if you want to post your perversions, I would suggest that you start tagging your perversions accordingly so that people that don't want to see it or people that get weirded out by it, after seeing it so many times before, don't have to see yours. Your perversions are no special than anyone else's. So tag it accordingly so that people that don't want to see it don't have to see it. If they can avoid it, they should. If they want to avoid it, they should. But no, you have to be the special snowflake that has to show the entire world what you like and what you want to finger yourself towards. And everybody in the world has to know that for some reason. So so at this point at this point I don't feel like I'm supposed to give any sympathy to Spotty or Molten because
And you're not.
they don't do anything to keep harassers away. They actually invite more harassers the more they post without tagging, and the more that they expose other people that don't want to see their shit to other people. And let's go back to our main topic and talk about whether this art that they draw a whole lot of different art
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of different controversies. Some of them range from age play, pedophilia, bestiality.
Ew.
Oh, there it goes, bestiality again, and and it just goes on from there. And so let's go back and just ask the question: do you believe that the art that Molten draws or Spotty draws is it is it reminiscent of their reality? Like, is it attached to some kind of thought process or memory? Or, like I said before with Seth Pup, would it be some perversion that they would act upon
Mhm.
if given the opportunity?
Um, I
Or is it just fantasy? And should we just treat it as such?
Well, with them it's a bit different. With Seth Pup, it seems like there's some malicious intent, given how he's acting. With
Hmm.
these individuals, it's hard to say. Uh, I truly think that one of them at least has to have been abused as a child, and
Yeah.
because of that, they
Hmm. Hello? I think we lost Psylocke there.
Oh, sorry about that. I actually landed on the top of my mute button. But
Oh,
no, what I was saying was, I think, like I was saying, I don't know which one of them, unfortunately, had to endure that. And in no way, shape, or form are we making light of that at all. So I don't know
no.
which one had to endure that, but I do think
Yeah.
one of them would have had to have been messed around with as a child, and it had a traumatic effect on them. So
Yeah.
this is a way of them coping with that.
Yeah.
Do I?
And
Uh huh.
note that they talk at length about these perversions. They get very specific about what they like and how they believe other people would actually respond to what they like or their perversions, to cub art, to age play, etc., etc. And going back to that molten gold tweet where, they say that that's what happens when you're afraid or ashamed, you aren't honest. That is a red flag because that to me gives it away that they know that that's wrong and they're trying to hide it. They're trying to bend they're trying to bend the truth so that they're not coming out as being wholly in support of it until they can trust you to not judge them. So
Hmm.
they're talking to primarily their audience.
Yeah.
That's why Spotty Jaguar's Twitter account is locked because they don't trust the general public to not judge them, but they know it's wrong. They know it's wrong. The people that are following them right now don't care if it's wrong or not. They don't care. They will follow them to the ends of the earth.
And that's a problem. That's
Yeah.
that's a big problem in this fandom. You have people like that who will just follow somebody because it appeals to their innate desire almost to see that, and it's disturbing. It really is disturbing that we have those people amongst
Yeah.
us.
Hmm.
And I truly think that we need to make an effort to clean up our fandom, because if not, we're going to fall into that same trap that we fell into right after the whole CSI episode aired, where we're dealing with people who have these incorrect opinions about us, thinking that we all want to have relations with animals. Like that's that, or we want to mess around with kids, or we're just weirdos with no life, no job, who just wear suits to go around and snort coke and screw everything that has two hands. Like we're gonna fall into that trap again, and it has taken us years, almost a decade, to
Yeah.
shake that stereotype to where, hey, we're actually tolerated in public now. So
Yeah.
if we don't clean up the fandom, you're going to go back to that. And again, I know what people are thinking. Doing this, it violates the idea of thought. Your people will say, "Well, you're policing thought." Um, I don't see it like that. What I see it as is you have people in the fandom who legitimately are Predators. They're pedophiles. They're child molesters. They should not be allowed a safe space. I don't care if they draw sexy art or if they have a nice fursuit or if they're the life of the party. That's an excuse. That's
Mhm.
a fucking excuse. And you shouldn't use excuses to justify keeping someone like that around.
Yeah,
It's not uncalled for. You wouldn't
yeah.
allow your little cousin, your kids, if you have them, to be around someone like that. Why are you okay with being around someone like that? Because that's just inexcusable. You know?
So, yeah. And now let me go over something that I thought was an interesting connection that I found out. So, Silox, you've heard the word gaslighting, haven't you?
Yes.
Of course you have. I think we've heard the word gaslighting being thrown around so often, especially in this fandom. In this day and age, I hear it almost every day. I'm being gaslit about this. I'm being gaslit about that. They're gaslighting about this, that, blah, 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 blah. I'm being gaslit, blah, 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 blah. I get it. I have heard the word gaslighting over and over and over again to the point where I had to look up what gaslighting is and actually get acquainted with the definition and actually get acquainted with examples of gaslighting just so I understand what people are talking about when they're talking about gaslighting or that they're being gaslit.
Hmm.
And gaslighting, it's a psychological trick. It's a psychological trick that abusers tend to employ towards their victims. Like the victim doesn't know for a while that they're being gaslit, but it's very once I learned how gaslighting works, I figured, holy crap, this shit's really effective. So think about this for a moment. So gaslighting is when you as a sane individual are thinking about something and you as a sane individual know that something is not right or something is so deplorable and wrong that you can't change your mind over that. It's innate. You know it's wrong. But then somebody comes along and says, well, actually, what I mean by A is that it's actually B. Does it follow? So,
Hmm.
over months to years, you keep hearing B in connection with A. A is still a very, very, very twisted term. Just pick whatever: pedophilia, zoophilia, bestiality, rape, whatever. Pick whatever deranged, the whatever derangement you want to pick as A, and some gaslighter will come by and say it's something not as serious, and that's what B is. But over time, you hear B more and more to the point where you don't refer to A as A anymore. You don't refer to rape as rape. You don't refer to pedophilia as pedophilia. You don't refer to zoophilia as zoophilia. No, it's B now.
Yeah.
It's B now. It's a more acceptable thing.
Yeah. And they
That
have
is how
new
that's how
terms.
gaslighting works.
And they have these terms now which are being used to soften the impact of the behavior. Like instead of
Hmm.
pedophiles, they call them MAPs, minor attracted
Yeah,
person.
not
Doesn't that
minor attractive people. Yeah,
doesn't that sound a little
it
less
sounds it
edgy
sounds
than and
way,
more
yeah,
professional than pedophile? And it's
yeah.
done for a reason. So an unsuspecting person may come across that and may look at it, not looking too deep, but may see that and say, okay, that makes sense. They have other things: non contact, pro contact, non offending. More stuff to gaslight and to normalize the behavior, lessen the blow of being straight up called a pedophile.
Yeah.
You have that. Well, with zoophiles, they don't even try and soften the blow. They just straight up say, "Hey, I'm a zoophile," but they use things like non-practicing, which is just as bad. So we're in this era, unfortunately, where you have people who want to jump on the LGBTQIA plus bandwagon and they want to hitch their cart to there, and they think that their perversion is a sexuality, and it's not. There is no, you wanting to fuck an animal is not a sexuality. It's not an orientation. It's not even a gender. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
But I see people defend it. I see little kids defend it on Twitter, and I'm just blown away by that. Saying those of us who are against it are bigots, we're homophobes, we're wrong, we're in the wrong, and history will say so in the future. And it's like, no, that's not true. How can you rationalize that this person, if you give them the chance, will harm your pet or will mess around with your little sibling? Like, I
Yeah.
don't get the thought process that goes through some of these people,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
they exist. The
Yeah.
gaslighting has allowed them to soften the impact of their crimes, so to
Yeah.
speak.
And if you think that I'm going crazy, or you think, oh, Lifty, that can't happen in the furry community. These artists aren't gaslighting anybody. Just allow me to read um, Spotty Jaguar's Fur Affinity header, and if you are following them on Fur Affinity, feel free to read along with me because it's their Fur Affinity header. It says it starts off by saying, "Hi, I'm Diallo, a black and queer furry artist. My work is fueled by my love of psychology and sex, a deeply hedonistic pursuit." That's a that's a keyword right there. Hedonistic pursuit to explore morality, identity, desire, my own dark tastes. Another term right there, dark taste. To sweet, twisted, impossible fantasies. Whether it's a sex trafficker protecting his hometown, a cannibal seeking intimacy after loss, a boy navigating puberty with the family dog, or the creep watching him from the next door, every story is a dare to find appreciation through arousal and to see ourselves in the obscene. My pornography is therapy. Wow. That was not just a gaslighting. That was the entire town being gaslit. All the torches in the town lighting up. Like you had sex trafficker, a cannibal, a boy having sex with his dog, the creep watching the boy having sex with his dog. All of these people are being treated as anti-heroes in Spotty Jaguar's twisted mind. And somehow people actually think this is acceptable. This is okay. That we don't understand it. That's why Spotty is here. Because but see the way gaslighting works is that the gaslighter has to challenge your sane thoughts and make you question those same thoughts in your head. And over time, you question them more. You question them more and more and more until suddenly it's normalized. It is normalized. You don't have a problem with it anymore. And she calls this therapy. I'm I'm disgusted beyond words, to be honest. And now that you know what gaslighting is like in the furry community, I hope that you are able to see it. You're able to see it and call it out for what it is. It's gaslighting. Just call them straight up. Tell them, hey, this is gaslighting. You're gaslighting me. I don't particularly appreciate being gaslit.
Yeah, and that's not just, and that's again, that's not just with, and I want to make this distinction. This is not just a furry thing. This happens in
Mhm,
real life. Like in a lot of
mhm.
relationships, you will see one person gaslighting another person to keep them around. That is a form of manipulation,
Exactly.
mental well, no, mostly emotional manipulation. Um,
Hmm.
there's actually a movie based on the term gaslighting that was made, and that's where the term came from.
Yeah.
Uh, forgot the synopsis of it, but long story short, the husband keeps gaslighting his wife in that film into thinking that she's the crazy one in all of this, even though he was the one who was actually emotionally abusing her day by day. So you see this a lot in the world today. Gaslighting. You
Mm.
see it in your politics. You see it in your relationships, in your fandom. There are
Yeah.
people, and of course, you can obviously say, well, I think people might be misusing the term gaslighting to mean something else, to mean manipulate, whatever. Gaslighting is a thing. It's done. It's hurtful, and it normalizes behavior that should not be normalized at all.
Yeah.
So the sooner that we all get on the same page about looking out for any kind of signs that a person is being gaslit, I think the better off we will be. We
Yeah.
can't have that behavior as accepted because
Yeah.
it yields horrible results in the end.
Yeah. Yeah. And now that we've actually been able to give this talk about gaslighting and connect it to how furries are using gaslighting techniques in the furry community to make their content more acceptable to you, I do hope that our viewers and our listeners, they actually think for a moment about what they're consuming and what they absorb as in furry media, and wonder, am I being gaslit into thinking that this is acceptable? This, this thing, this A, that's typically completely unacceptable, we're being gaslit to think it's not, except it's not what it is. It's something that can be little more acceptable than what it currently is. Maybe that's exactly what's happening. They're trying to tap into your mind and tell you that you don't quite understand what you're criticizing. That's why gaslighting works, because they want to doubt your sanity. The sane people are watching us. They're the people that aren't in the furry community, but anytime they hear furry, they trace it back to pedophiles and zoophiles because they saw this content, or they saw that dude that was a pedophile, or they assume that because we want to be dressed up as animals that we want to fuck animals. They're the sane people, and they are judging us, and we are the ones being gaslit by others within our own community into thinking that this is acceptable, that this is just something natural, that we don't understand what exactly we have a revulsion towards. Starlocks, I think with that said, I think it's time to call it a night. How about that?
Yeah, it is. No, I
Yeah,
think we did good.
yeah, yeah.
And before we log off, I wanted to give a shout out to a one Jet Pika dog. He runs this awesome. He's a friend of mine. He runs this awesome blog.
Mm-hmm.
He put out a new episode just today, actually, called Dog Vlog. Where in the world is Jet Doggy? It's super cute. He has such a great suit, and he has such an electric personality. I'll actually link it in the comments, but I just want to give a shout out to that.
Well, I mean, we can also share we can retweet their content if you want.
Oh, of course, yes. I gotta
Yeah, yeah.
open the
So
app
yeah,
for the
if you're not,
comment.
so of course, if you're not following us on Twitter, please feel free to follow us on Twitter at Furry Frequency. And if you're not on the Discord, please join the Discord and join our conversation. The conversation continues both on Twitter and on YouTube. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to our videos as they are uploaded. And feel free to join us again next week, Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another exciting episode of Furry Frequencies, the soundtrack to your furry life. And with that said, it's time to sign off with Lifty.
And Silox.
Thank you very much for joining us for this exciting episode of Furry Frequencies, and you have a wonderful night.
Good night, Canada.
Good night, Arlington.
Good night, Herndon.